Retro
And welcome everybody to a special episode of the Animanicast. Welcome everybody once again to the Animanicast. Yes, this is the podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows within the Rugerverse, such as Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky and the Brain, and Freakazoid. And today we are talking about the Animaniacs Reboot, but specifically the New York Comic Con panel and the little bit of footage that we got to see from it. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
80's cats.
And across the country in Georgia, once again for the first time in a long time, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Yes, we were just talking before the show. Like, has it really been that long since Kelly? Yes, it has been.
Sorry.
It's been a long time.
Fine, I'll do the show again.
I tried to get out of this one because
I
I haven't been feeling well. I was like, my throat's bothering me. I can't really talk.
Like, Kelly, you
Joey's like, no, we need you on the show.
Like, Kelly, you are getting on the show.
Nathan is annoying me too much.
I can't stand him anymore. You got to help me. No, we're so happy to have you back, Kelly. It's been a long time since we've rock and rolled. No, it's been a long time. Been a long, long time since
Joey,
we all
stop
got
singing.
together. I'm sorry. We're going to get a copyright infringement.
He just missed me so much.
Yeah.
No, but it's we actually talked a lot about a lot of the stuff that we have seen recently during our little post or pre-show, I should say. For the patrons. So if you're a patron of our show, then you can head on over to patreon.com/Animanicast and you'll be able to hear some bonus audio where we talk about let's see, what do we talk about? We talked about Muppets and Disneyland and Kelly's going to a certain galaxy far away.
I didn't even know what it was.
And Nathan did. Yeah, it was very confusing for Nathan, but
He
very
learned
exciting.
a lot.
Very exciting
We learned,
for Kelly.
we laughed, we cried. It was fun.
It's so much fun. Well, anyway, patreon.com/Animanicast. Head on over there if you'd like. You can get certain things like, I don't know, like maybe even a decal, like say Rob Paulson got and he put on his car.
What? I saw that.
You saw? Yeah, I know. It was it's a long story, but I gave Rob Paulson a vinyl decal at Salt Lake City, and he said, I'm going to put this on my car. And I know that he has very expensive cars. And I said, no, don't do that. And he looked at me and he said, I'm going to do it. And I said, no, both Nathan and I were looking at Rob and saying, please don't do that.
And he's like, but then I think he was like, thought we were calling his bluff. And he's like, no, I'll tweet it out when I'm
going to share it. And then
I'm like,
and I'm going to tag you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, thank you. And wouldn't you know it, he did. Now, I don't know if he immediately took it off or not, but it's
on there forever.
What kind of car was it that he put it on?
It was a nice car.
It's
It was a nice car. I know cars, and
I
that
don't
was
know
a nice car.
I'm sure by the time this episode's come out, I've already shared or retweeted the image of his car. I want to say it's a BMW of some sort, but it's a nice car. Okay. It's a nice car. I don't know my cars. Yeah. I just know if it runs.
I'm like, that's not a nice, and that is a nice.
Yes.
That's about
as good as me. Yep, that's me. Well, anyway, let's go ahead. We got to talk about the New York Comic Con footage that was released. It was released to everybody. Of course, there was also a panel that was recorded. Oh gosh, about a month ago. It came out. I think they said about 2 days after the anniversary of Animaniacs, Rob dated it at one point saying, hey, we're 2 days after the anniversary of Animaniacs. So I was like, oh, wait, they recorded this a while ago, didn't they? It was definitely not a live panel. Very well edited together. And, of course, it had Rob and Tress MacNeille and Jess Harnell and Maurice LaMarche. And also it was hosted by, I'm going to get his name here, Damian Hallbrook from TV Guide magazine. Remember TV Guide?
Yes.
That thing we used to have to, we always get to find out.
There was a channel, right?
It was a TV Guide channel. Yes, to find out what things were on. Before that even,
My
Nathan,
favorite
it was
channel.
a magazine.
Before you had Netflix scrolling, you should just watch TV scrolling.
Man.
That was a fun channel.
That was a fun, well, yeah, that was the worst thing, actually, that one cable channel. I think they probably still have them on DirecTV and stuff like that. I think they might still have them. But the most frustrating thing, because you
I want to see what's
forever.
on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, you wait forever to find out what's coming up on Cartoon Network, and then you start talking to the person next to you, and then you look up, and it just missed the channel.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
man.
number 42. Here we go. Okay, we're at 30
about
30
that.
right now, and then we're like, oh no, we're at 47. What happened to 42?
Oh, man, so you're like, okay, we have to
around
really
again.
focus this time. And then when you wait a few more minutes, and then you go, oh, nothing's on what I really want. Okay, let's just flip channels. So anyway, yeah. So that guy from TV Guide, he was there, and he did a very good job moderating it all. But I think the thing that most people were excited about, of course, was the footage that was released, which was 80's cats.
Yeah, they had a new animation design, is what the producer was saying. This is what the Animaniacs will now look like in the next season.
Gabe Zwar tried to do a little. I guess you tried to punk us all, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if there was anyone.
Backfired a little bit.
It did. We'll talk about that all in a bit, but I guess let's talk about just in general about the panel itself. If you were to summarize the panel in just a few words, what would you say about the New York Comic-Con Animaniacs panel, Nathan?
There was things I have heard before, and there was things that I had not heard before.
Ooh, very good and so specific. Kelly, what about you?
They mentioned Steven Spielberg.
A lot, I think. I was watching this panel going, I think Kelly really likes this panel because they keep mentioning him. They name drop Spielberg at least 2 or 3 times that I can think of.
Oh, that's not a lot, but
it's not enough.
they mentioned him a couple times, so that was sufficient.
We interrupt this episode of the Animanicast for some Animaniacs news.
Well, before we get going any further, which we recorded an entire episode before this news came out.
Oh, yes, I got the news here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. We have
plastic.
We have some late breaking Animaniacs news. So, Nathan, hit us with the Animaniacs news theme song.
Deep, beep, beep, deep. Hey, it's time for the news for the Animaniacs. And it goes like this, because we got news for you, and it's a special update with all the news of the descriptions of the episodes for season 2.
Wow, I was worried we weren't going to get out of that one. I was a little scared. I was also a little scared for a little while that Nintendo might have a legal suit against us.
Oh, no.
Thank goodness we...
Not since last time.
Yeah. Quickly backed out of that one. Well, anyway, yes, we have Animaniacs Reboot news. Specifically, we have the episode descriptions that were released from Hulu, a few hours after we recorded today's episode. So, of course, Nathan and I had to get together. Kelly's not here because Kelly, she's smart. She goes, no.
It's what time in the morning?
What time in the morning? Way too early. No, thank you. But Nathan and I are here. We were going to go over the episode descriptions, read them out, and then we'll kind of give our general impressions or predictions or whatever. So here we go. Season 2, Episode 1, the Warners deal with Nero, which is mentioned in the New York Comic-Con panel. Brain and Pinky accidentally become conjoined, and Yako waits for his new game to load. So, Wacko waiting for his new game to load. I immediately thought about, okay, that's that footage that we saw, that little bit of footage with him and his tablet iPad thing.
Yeah, we saw that in the first promo. I guess we should say spoiler warning if you don't want to know.
Spoiler.
If you don't want to know the descriptions of these,
skip forward about
15 minutes at most.
I don't know.
I don't think it'd be that long. Maybe 10 minutes.
No, 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes. We'll say we could do this within 10 minutes.
Just hit the 30-second button a bunch of times.
If it still sounds like I just woke up, then
you know. Then you know. All right. Episode 2 for season 2 says the Warners are harassed by spam. Nora must fill the segment time by airing failed, never-before-seen Pinky and the Brain pilots, and the Warners give safety advice.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, safety. Yeah, exactly. Anytime they have the little things at the end where it's like safety advice or something, I immediately hope for a song. But
it could. Yeah, exactly. It might be something like a Mr. Head or Mr. Skullhead, or something like that. Too,
I think it's more likely going to be something like when they did that Bloomp thing or something where it's just like, hey, whatever. But a lot of
Pinky in the Brain. Yeah.
That's
kind of fun, like bloopers or something too. Kind of feel like so.
Right. Episode 3: the Warners go inside the Bayeux Tapestry. I might be mispronouncing that, but that's the William the Conqueror, tapestry that they mentioned in this New York Comic Con panel today. So there you go. So about William the Conqueror, a song right there. Pinky needs to get money to save Brain and fast. Ooh. And then Scratch and Sniff tries to teach the Warners a lesson about lying, which, hooray for Scratch and Sniff. However, I'm not totally enthused about the Scratch and Sniff that we might be getting.
Well, I mean, just based on that description, it sounds fine.
Yeah.
I'm like, that could be Scratch and Sniff from even, the original series could teach the Warners about lying. Like, that's
right.
Fun. That's
talking
good.
about manners, talking about whatever, he did those types of things and just hoping that it's the Scratchy that we know. Episode 4 just says Ralph parody.
Might be another Ralph short. We liked the season 1's Ralph short. It's fine. Him guarding and there's a vampire and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that thing. Yeah. The Warners ruin a super sweet 16 party, which I don't even think those are necessarily a thing as much anymore, at least in pop culture. I know on MTV they used to have My Super Sweet 16. I don't even know what
they still
MTV
do
shows.
quinceañeras in.
That's true, but these are more like Super Sweet 16 parties are more like the super rich girls from Beverly Hills. So not necessarily this. Anyway, Pinky makes a how-to video about taking over the world. All right.
That sounds fun.
The Warners heckle an artist at a museum. It's for episode 5 now. Maybe we'll get some art history in there.
Yeah, I was like, it could be a famous artist even. Who knows? Yeah.
Brain wants to become a dictator. What? This is
all
new.
This one I was like, wait a second. Hold on. Maybe they're giving too much information away on this segment, though. So
it's like almost like saying the Brain wants to take over the world. It's like okay. And he's done the Dictator song, of course. So I don't know. So anyway,
whole new Brain.
A whole new Brain.
Watch out.
The Warners try to find something to watch on a streaming service.
It's like us until Animaniacs comes out. So until animes come out, we're all trying to find things to watch on streaming.
Of course. Episode 6, Yako has a new idea for an invention. Cool. Pinky and the I don't know. Okay, all right. It's so funny because listening to these descriptions, and then if you want to go back and go to the episode 1 descriptions, you can see how some of them are right on the money, and other times they're like, that's not really what it was about.
I guess
the one in the 50, like the one where it was the the Pinky and the Brain are like in Congress or something in the 1950s. I think it says they go back in time or something like that. It's like they didn't go back in time. They were just there in that time period. That had nothing to do with the plot.
Yeah. And some of those, like, I was like, Ralph falls asleep is the segment. And it's just like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, that sounds like
so sometimes these are written. Sometimes these are written well, and they do actually describe what happens in a sentence. And other times they just describe a second of what is going on, or nothing that's going on.
Yeah, I feel like they also kind of enjoy the idea of, making it sound, you don't want to give too much away. So I kind of enjoy that they keep it a little boring on these segment descriptions.
So he has an idea for an invention. The end. Pinky participates in a Miss Universe pageant. And
Miscellany.
Miss Miscellany. Mysterious. The Warners revisit some rejected Animaniacs characters. This got some people like kind of excited, like, oh, we'll see the side characters again.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be new characters that never made it on the show.
Exactly. So. I think this is, unfortunately, I'm bracing myself for, the original series had a lot of the characters and I hope that doesn't become a self-mocking kind of thing.
I mean, I think, but like they're going to have characters that just weren't on the show. It's like, oh, look at this duck. It's like Donald Duck or something, or something,
exactly. Episode 7, Yako goes head to head with an animator. The Warners fight over who knows the longest word.
That could be a song.
Brain is forced to celebrate Pinky's birthday. Sounds cute. And the Warners, this is definitely a song.
It sounds like it could be.
The Warners sing a song about the Magna Carta. Will they actually sing a song about the Magna Carta, or will they stop themselves and say, no? Now, in today's episode, we talk a lot about what musical did Jess Harnell really like, and we go back and forth about what it could be, and every single guess is wrong. Mm-hmm. But we do find out what the musical is in this description. It says episode 8, The Warners parody Oliver Twist. There you go. Pinky's hands have a mind of their own as well. So
I'll have to watch Oliver's Twist before this
You've
comes
never
out.
seen Oliver Twist?
I've seen more. That's about it.
I saw it when I was a little kid.
More happens towards the end of the movie, right?
I think it happens at the beginning.
I think it's one of the first things.
I remember seeing it as a kid, but it's a very long movie, so I think I watched it in like chunks and kind of missed some bits here and there, but I remember being relatively entertained at the original 80s version, or maybe that was even 70s, I'm not quite sure. But episode 9 says that the Warners don't know what something is. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Brain.
I don't know what that episode is.
I don't know what that is either. Brain rigs a college basketball tournament, and the Warners question Christopher Columbus's discoveries. Hey,
we
told you. We told you.
We had the exclusive. No one else in the world was telling you about it.
Everyone else was saying they're mad. They're mad. I tell you. The Warners review a prescription medication, and that to me again sounds like, be careful what you eat, like the ingredients in something that could be a thing. But then again, maybe they're just making fun. More likely, now that I think about it, they're probably just making fun of prescription ad medications.
Yeah,
with all
but
the
it could
side
be
effects.
you could sing the prescription medication.
I think what we're saying is we want more songs.
I want a song every episode.
Well, yes, and yeah, why not?
I mean, like I would not complain if there was a song in every episode, but
yeah, with Rob, Jess, and Tress, not these stunt doubles.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 210. Episode 10. The Warners lead a mandatory exercise break. Brain's plan to take over the ISS is foiled by an old adversary. which some people like. I saw one. I think it was. I forget his Twitter handle. I think his name is Sal on Twitter. I'm not exactly sure about the Twitter handle, but he said, "Oh, maybe it's Snowball." And I thought, "Oh, maybe," but I mean, there's Julia also. So I think it would probably be Julia, unless Snowball was somehow. I mean, the ISS has been up there for a very long time, so it would kind of make sense for Snowball to be up there for over 20 years, kind of floating around.
But also, well, no, I guess Julia. That was
Julia was like just hanging out under a bunker or something.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah. I still think Julia makes more sense.
Yeah, I do.
She's coming back, at some point. So
yeah. The Warners queue up some targeted ads, and our favorite spin-off character, Starbucks. Starbucks fails to escape Cindy during bath time.
I think it was definitely Kelly and I's favorite new character from
the new ones. Yeah.
Exactly. The targeted ads could also be a song, in theory.
In theory. Number 11, Yako explains the history of the world. Okay, see, that could definitely be a song.
That has song potential to it.
Let's see. Also in number 11, Gerard has a gnome in his mouth. So
Gerard again.
Gerard again. It's that gnome guy.
Oh, the gnome guy. Okay.
Yeah. Pinky
I'm
the
so
Brain.
sick of Gerard all the time.
Oh, Gerard. Pinky the Brain are mouse snapped by another supervillain. See that? But that could be Future Brain or something, right? Didn't Future Brain or something make it sound like it was coming back? I don't know. But
or it could be a supervillain from another series or something too.
That's true. Yeah. The whole thing could be potential. It could be a superhero based episode.
Mm-hmm. They've done superhero based ones before, and that was fun. So, yeah.
Dot gives a dramatic math lesson about beach balls. Hooray! This is that masterpiece theater again, I believe.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken.
Hey, if it's educational, I'll like it.
Sure. I did not like that first one. Maybe I like
couldn't
the second
say
one.
it. Yeah. You couldn't keep track of how many apples there were.
Yeah, that was the problem.
There's 3, 5, like, I don't know. Like, it's very simple math. But it's just
I just tried to burn that out of my brain. It's so not funny. Okay, the Warders pick up number 12. The Warders pick up a bunch of stranded mythical creatures before a flood.
Noah's Ark sounds like.
Yeah.
Which we've done Noah's Ark before.
Noah's Lark.
Yeah, and in the comics, there's a comic book episode.
True.
We haven't done it.
Done it. That's not canon. And some might say that the reboot is not canon either. But
so
it's all fun.
Maybe they're in the same universe then.
It's the Warner multiverse. Wow, it's all connected. It's all connected either way. Then the Warners apologize to their viewers. Well, good. It's about time. No. Okay, so the Pinky.
Maybe they'll mention us.
Yeah. Oh no.
No.
Oh boy. I hope not. If they mention us, it's probably not going to be a good thing. So, Pinky the Brain tried to take over the world with music in the '60s.
Hey.
I like 60s music.
Yeah, there could be some songs in there too.
I would hope definitely there's music in there.
Could be song parodies with Brain singing a song parody of the '60s. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the Warners revisit some archival footage.
Hey, we could just watch some old episodes of Animaniacs.
Oh man, that would be funny, but probably not. Maybe they'll go back to the black and white stuff, and if they do show black and white Warners, please have their noses red. Okay, this is important. Their noses are magically red. There is a shot in the first season of the reboot where they turned black and white, and they didn't turn their noses red. Mm-hmm. It was a total. I threw the TV through the window.
Well,
said, it's all wrong.
Well, it said they can turn themselves black and white, which they can.
They can even,
and they can also turn their noses even black and white. So
if they
I'm
wanted
okay
to.
with it. It's not saying that they were black and white with not red nose. So in the archival footage, though, it should have red noses, I think. Right?
Maybe it should.
I can't.
Season 2, episode 13. Last one for the season. The Warners take on a retro look.
I bet that is the Thundercats.
Probably. Yep. That would make sense as an opening. The Warners work as Benjamin Franklin's apprentices. Okay, cool. Benjamin Franklin is definitely a person in history to be made fun of. He did a lot of accomplishments, but he was certainly not a perfect person. The Warners take a DNA test only to find out that they are related to the CEO.
Yeah, Narita. Something like that.
Or maybe Plots. Maybe like they found out Plots were related to him, and then there are actually through birthright. No, I don't know. CEO. No, it's probably Nora, obviously.
Yeah,
but yeah. That's okay. There you go. I don't know how puppy children can be related to a human toon character, but we'll have to see.
Well, it's going to be long distance relations. I'm sure they're going to be.
Like we're distant third, fourth,
we're 15th cousins.
15th cousins, yeah. Which often happens, like even with like a lot of people do like presidential candidates or something like
and you're
that.
like, they're running
actually
against
related.
each other.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, if you go back far enough, it's like, see, their great was Adam and Eve.
Well. So there you go. There's the episode descriptions. I'm looking forward to it. I think there's some episodes in there that could be good, could be great, even if I might put it out there. But I'm trying to keep my expectations in check, of course. But if I think too much about what they could be, I won't appreciate what they are. Is what often happens.
So I'm just I enjoy that they didn't give too much away in the episode descriptions, and hurrah.
Hurrah, indeed. All right, well, let's go back to our previous discussion.
Currently in progress.
Ooh, whoa. Get back to it quick. Well, if you would like to actually watch, we're not going to, obviously, stream the entire, audio and everything like that. We might put a couple audio drops here and there, but obviously, New York Comic Con, if you want to actually watch the whole thing, you need to actually go to New York Comic Con's website and pay them some money to see the recordings of these panels, which I think are like on a 30-day database or something like that. But you don't just get to see the Animaniacs panel, you get to see other panels virtual panels from New York Comic Con as well. Like I think there's a Ghostbusters Afterlife one that I am interested in seeing as well. So it's like $20 and you get to see a bunch of other stuff too. So
and then share it with your friends.
At any rate. So yes, let's go ahead and talk about the panel. So as we mentioned before, it starts off with Gabe Zwar, who's one of the executive producers of the show. And he said something that is, I think, true for most people, not necessarily for me. But he said, we're going to turn this panel over to just the voice actors because that's who you really want to listen to anyway, right? And I'm thinking, no, I'd rather maybe a good balance between you and the voice actors myself. But okay, sure. Mm-hmm. He started off by mentioning about how they've taken a lot of feedback into account this year. He mentions things like we've listened to every tweet, every Instagram, and every TikTok.
He did not mention every podcast.
He didn't mention us. So I don't know.
Mention the
Abe, if you're listening.
Like, is he going to say every podcast episode? No.
We'll know that they listen if like every episode has a Spielberg reference.
Oh, see, there you go. That's true. They'll be like, well,
I do happen to know that for better or for worse that they do know about us. And so yes, they are aware of the Animanicast.
So is this my opportunity to say, hey, please ask Steven to come on the show?
Oh yes, that's like, maybe we can say that every day. Like
please.
Gabe, if you're listening,
I'll talk like Sneezer so that you can please come on the show, Steven. Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's true. And they got the Tiny Toons reboot coming out. I mean, Kelly, I think now's your
Steven
chance.
loves Sneezer. He thinks he's cute.
That's right. You could be on the reboot of Tiny Toons as Sneezer. You work real cheap. But all she asks is just to hang out with Steven Spielberg every
let
episode.
me have one dinner with Steven once.
Just
and I'll
a
do
cup
the
of
whole
coffee.
season.
Just a cup of
coffee.
coffee.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
We're going to have to talk. We haven't even talked about, speaking of a side note, we haven't even talked about the Tiny Toons reboot information that came out. We'll have to talk
Oh, it
about
did?
that.
I didn't even.
Yeah, I
I don't
know.
see it.
There was some
We're
info
the
that came out.
Animaniacs. That's a different thing completely.
No, but we should talk about that eventually.
Yeah.
We will, but not today.
Okay.
Anyway, so we did get some feedback. By the way, I heard from one of the people that works on the show. I asked them because we put out our thoughts and we try not to be too harsh or anything like that about the reboot. But we talk about what we like and what we don't like. And the person that I got an email from said that they thought we were very fair, I think.
This was Steven Spielberg, right?
Yeah, it was totally Steven Spielberg. I've been emailing him personally.
Kelly's like, no.
She's
I'm
like, what?
shaking my head. Don't even.
Anyway, they mentioned, Gabe right here mentions that they made some really big changes to the show. And speaking of big changes, here's our new intro. And that's where they go into the opening of 80's Cats. Now, obviously, this is not the real intro to the show. He said, haha, fooled you. Right there. But it did fool some people in some ways because they actually thought that this confirmed that the Warners were really cats. And no, it's not.
No, they're cute.
They're cute. They are cute. But they are not. They are cartoonist characterists, I believe is what Tom has called them. At any rate, let's go ahead and play the audio of the 80's Cats, which is a Thundercats parody.
Oh.
See, children, gather around. Let me tell you something about a show called
that was
Thundercats.
almost 40 years ago.
Not that old.
40 years ago. Kelly and I are
Close
very
to.
defensive. How dare you say it happened 40 years ago?
I
It
said
happened
it's
almost.
close
It
to
happened almost 40.
40 years ago.
Yes. Anyway, let's go and play the audio of 80's Cats right now so people can listen to all the craziness of that.
80's Cats Hall! 80's Cats are on the block. 80's Cats are back. See the big hair pump those seats. 80's Cats are back. 80's Cats. 80's Cats. 80's Cats. 80's Cats. 80's Cats. Those are the best.
So that's 80's Cats. This does not confirm, once again, that they are cats. They are just, things.
They do say 80's Cats a lot.
They did say 80's Cats. And they were really giving kind of a hint right there of like, this is in the 80s, people. I think they missed the mark, however, with some people online, especially if they were, under the age of 20. And maybe weren't even paying attention to horrible reboots like Thundercats Roar, which was not well received, I don't think, by anybody. It was ignored by most and hated by the people who like Thundercats. So, this of course, but I think this parody, was made back in 2018. I think they may have overestimated people's knowledge of Thundercats.
They should have done He-Man.
They really should have, but they don't own. I don't think Warner Brothers owns He-Man, so
They can still do parodies of
they
it.
can't they? But it's more fun for them to do their own properties.
I think they feel safer doing their own properties.
they don't have to worry about somebody getting upset.
And
I suppose.
Also, it's also like promotion almost for that thing. So it's like
Bingo.
So there's a lot of like reasons to do your own things over someone else's.
Bingo. All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen. You guys seeing the screen that I'm seeing right now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. What we're going to do
The
here,
listeners,
folks,
or
no, not the listeners. If you're listening, maybe picture it in your brain. All right, everyone doing that? Okay, cool. What we're going to do is we're going to rewatch the footage again with no sound, and we're just going to kind of talk about what we're seeing, and I'll kind of stop and start it as we go.
Yeah.
So here we go. So it starts off with the Steven Spielberg presents and Warner Brothers animation production.
I'm guessing this
Gotcha.
is like going to be mid episode when this actually shows up.
Yeah, me too. So
Like-
it starts off. Let's pause right here. So it starts off with the energy field going past the planet and then zapping down to hit the Warners as they're sitting in the tower. Very
Watching TV.
almost exact to the opening of Thundercats, which starts with the Thundercats energy, I guess you could say, going down to Thundera. Is that what it is?
Thundera, yeah.
So it goes down to Thundera and hits like Lion-O's sword, I believe, something like that. And this is where immediately Yako is all buffed right now. Has
Love that hair.
his very Lion-O hair.
Mm-hmm.
He's
got a sausage sword.
A sausage sword with lion claws, cool belt on his pants, and no shirt on or anything. He's saying his 80s cats, and then all of them are on top of the tower with him kind of ready to jump off.
And you
so
see
let's
different planets. Is that Jupiter?
Yeah, that's true.
And the moon
It's
and,
all of a sudden
like
like
I don't know what
hint.
planets these are.
Well, again, now we're in the Thundercats.
It seems like
parody.
you're no longer on Earth. Yeah.
Yeah, they were totally on the planet Warner Dara, I guess. But I did notice that Yako was, obviously Lion-O, but then you had Wacko, who was kind of this combination of Snarf and Panthro, because Panthro had the nunchucks.
Yeah, and he kind of looks like Snarf.
Yeah. Snarf is, for those of you who don't know, he was, people consider him to be the annoying one on the show, but I always liked Snarf personally.
Yeah.
Snarf. And then Dot is kind of like this combination of Chitara and Tigra, I believe. Because Tigra had this kind of like...
The bolo.
Yeah, the
And then
bolo
a-
whip or something. Chitara had a big bow, which
She's got a dot on her chest.
We'll
'cause her
talk
name
more
is
about
Dot.
yeah. Oh, she has the Warner Brothers logo.
Oh,
on her
is it?
chest.
I just assumed it was a dot.
That's
And I'm
what
like-
I assumed too until I saw that it's a Warner Brothers logo, and in fact, Yako has that same symbol on his belt too. So there you go. That's their symbol. Anyway, we'll talk more about Dot's the reception to her her look in this in just a little bit. But I think one thing I want to point out is that she has 5 petals on her flower in this design, where her normal reboot design has 4. So there you go. That's
She's older.
she became old school. Yeah, let's just go to the thing. So they jump off the thing, shows Dot whipping her whip around, Yako eating his nunchucks, those are sausages. And then, of course, the Batman symbol gets pushed away by this 80s cat symbol, which to me, I'm thinking, well, shouldn't that be the symbol that's on their chest and not the Warner Brothers logo? Or shouldn't they put the Warner Brothers logo up instead of that? So all of a sudden, the design of this is like, I'm like, okay, get some consistency here.
Back to the drawing board. Let's
Come on.
Maybe we can fix it before season 2. No.
But no, it's a nice little jab right there, I think, at Batman, because saying that the Thundercats kind of copied the whole bat signal motif or thing. But I'm pretty sure, but the Thundercats, I think I'm not 100% sure on this because I'm not a huge Batman fan, but the first time I really remember seeing the bat signal as a thing was the Batman movie, which was in 89, which happened after Thundercats. Now, I might be wrong on that. I mean, it might have happened in the comics, but I'm pretty sure it never happened in the Adam West show. They just used the red phone to contact Batman, usually. As far as I remember, there wasn't a bat signal. I don't know. Kelly, do you remember?
Just looked it up.
Okay, go ahead. What do you got?
That signal first appeared in Detective Comics number 60
never mind.
in 1942.
Never mind.
So,
So I'm totally
Yeah,
wrong.
I figured it must have appeared
It must
earlier.
have, right? But yeah, but I don't remember. It wasn't as prevalent. Batman wasn't as prevalent really in the in the
Well, it's 'cause, like,
80s.
Batman was like one of the was it the most top rated or highest grossing movie that year or
In
one of them?
89? It was a big, it might have been, but it
Like
was a
top
big
10
year.
at least. I mean, 89 was also the year Last Crusade came out, so I don't know
And
where.
UHF, so you got all those together. It was a big year for movies. Anyway, so yes. Anyway, pushes the signal away, and then we see them all put their heads up, just like they did.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was just like they do in the original series of Thundercats. The ground is cracking, and out from the ground comes a robot Ralph. And this is the part where it's really kind of goes away from Thundercats.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
There was no robots really in Thundercats.
There was
no
Mumra,
robot
the
Ralph.
everlasting, or
Right.
ever-living.
Mumra! Mumra was awesome. Mumra was scary.
Oh, man. I loved Mumra.
I did like Mumra as well, but Mumra was actually like a villain of the, that you were actually like kind of scared of, and especially because Mumra only went to like super shredder mode a few times, and when he did, you're like, oh, watch out, because most of the time he was just like, go out there and do something, and then the bad guys would go and do something, and they would go, we didn't do it, boss, and then there's like, oh, I'll get him next time.
Why do bad guys always hire people like so ineffective?
They really are
incompetent.
really ineffective. Anyway, I had a Mumra figure and a Lion-O figure as a kid, and they were like pretty big, and you would put like a light, like a little battery pack to the back of their back, and then
Their eyes would glow.
Yes,
Yeah.
their eyes would glow.
My brother had Lion-O. I don't think he had anything else besides Lion-O. I can't remember.
I had Lion-O and Mumra. I had
Maybe.
nobody else. I had Lion-O and Mumra, and I was just always kind of disappointed that they were at a bigger scale than my He-Man figures, because I really wanted them to all kind of be together in the same universe, and it just didn't work out. Anyway, so this is the only part where I'm like, okay, I think there's kind of there's a shot or two in the Thundercats series where they look up and Mumra's huge, so I guess that's what they were going for, but.
I don't know.
No planes shooting at the Thundercats in any of the stuff here. Anyway.
Did they ever combine weapons to create a new thing in Thundercats?
No.
Like here
but
they
had a
created
tank. They had a big Thundercats tank that
okay.
Panthro used to drive around.
I see
So-
the Warner Brothers emblem.
Yeah,
behind
right
the,
there in the front of the tank. Pretty cool.
I was thinking maybe it's supposed to be like Voltron then, because those were 80s
yeah,
cats
it was.
as well.
I think they're starting to bring like kind of a bunch of different 80s things.
Well, those were 80s cats.
They
so
were
it would-
80s
it
cats.
fits.
They're like, we
So-
can do anything. So it's not just strictly it's mostly a Thundercats parody. But yeah, so they start doing a Transformer, or maybe a Transformer with Ralph and then Voltron for the stuff joining together, sort of, kind of.
Mhm. Maybe.
At any rate, shoot Ralph. And it definitely gets a little anime right there. Back on the top of the water tower again. And then 80s cats. And that's the end of the footage. Wow. What you guys think of what's your general thoughts about that footage? What did you think when you first saw it? Kelly, let's start with you, I guess.
I thought Thundercats. Oh, I thought it was really cool. It was very dynamic. Brought back some memories of watching the Thundercats. I liked the animation. I liked the song parody. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was very high energy. Yeah, I thought it was cool.
All right. And Nathan, what about you?
I thought last year's was better.
Well, Jurassic Park.
I
Well,
know, just
Steven
like-
Spielberg, of
And
course.
Steven
Yeah,
Spielberg.
exactly. But beyond that, yeah, it was good. Like, I don't know. I never saw Thundercats, so just because, like, oh, it's like some 80s thing, He-Man or some sort of cats thing. Thundercats, probably. I don't know.
At least you knew of Thundercats. Like
I knew
you
of
got
Thundercats.
you knew what it was. It was basically.
I knew it was
referencing.
supposed to be an 80s cats thing.
Yeah.
So Thundercats makes sense.
Yeah, it really is kind of a shame that they that more people didn't get it. I guess you could say. I one of the things I remember seeing is Scott O'Brien. Scott O'Brien is one of the directors of the show. Actually commented on our retweet saying, in all the weeks or months of storyboarding and planning out this shot, he never thought that people wouldn't get that this is not a confirmation that these are cats, that they are simply parodying something. And it totally just went over the heads of some people, and they just thought, oh, they're cats. No, anyway, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I didn't make me laugh or anything necessarily, but I thought it was, it looked cool. I think the reason they showed this was because there was such a huge reaction to the anime segment in the first season that they talked about how, we really saw all the great artwork and stuff that you want. In fact, he mentioned, Gabe Zwar mentioned in the opening that we saw so many great pictures, some amazing drawings, but we don't want to talk about those drawings right now, which I was just like, what does that even mean? Like, is that a reference to, I don't know what it was a reference to. I'm guessing it's in reference to the anime, because there's a lot of fan artists that really loved that look for the Warners, and they started doing tons of it. So maybe that's why they decided to do this segment? Question mark?
Yeah, it was very reminiscent of that anime segment from.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's immediately what I was like. Oh, it's just like that.
It felt more anime than the actual Thundercats were, because I never really. I always liked the Thundercats growing up, but I never really quite got into anime or anything like that as a kid. At any rate, let's go ahead and talk about some of the highlights here from the actual panel itself. So Steven Spielberg.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say so.
He was mentioned quite a bit, like we said. First of all, Maurice LaMarche, I think, was one of the first people to mention him. Maurice LaMarche, what a fantastic microphone he got going. He had a great mic setup. Everyone else in this panel, I mean, you could hear him just fine, but they were just using their laptop microphone. And here's Mo getting the professional equipment, and you could really
got
tell,
a sound booth basically.
And he was really taking it like, man, he is set up. So he got it. But I did notice a few things, he said that, Steven Spielberg keys into the idea of giving an audience back its childhood.
You got to thank Steven Spielberg for that. He really,
Thanks, Steven.
He really keyed into the idea that if you're going to give an audience back its childhood, give it to them all the way.
Yeah.
Bring back the voices. Don't, honor the old designs and yet update them. And Wellesley Wild and his crew have just done a fantastic job of doing that.
And of course, I'm thinking to myself, well, technically, I'm not going to be nitpicky here, but really, if you were going to give them back their childhood back the entire way, you would actually get the original writing group, the creative group back together. But who am I?
But like most people don't notice those things.
Most people
really the most noticeable things of any show are going to be the voices. And
absolutely, the
voices
and the way that they look.
Yeah,
are absolutely 100% the thing that most people care about,
and the very first thing they're going to notice too.
And,
so it's
and the thing that they might assume is that the original creators and stuff are back too, but no. And obviously, we've talked at length about that. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners going, "Oh God, they're still talking about this." But it's just one of those things I noticed, and obviously, I'm not expecting them to really say any of that because that's not the point of this panel.
Yeah, another season's coming out.
The point
Joey.
of the panel
Did
is
you
to
know?
talk about how great everything is.
November 5th. It's coming up in like 2 weeks or something. It's
yes. Rob Paulson mentioned how there wasn't any stunt casting, which usually when I'm thinking of stunt casting, I think about, stunt doubles. You've captured the stunt doubles. That's 2 Spaceball references.
Disney does a lot of stunt casting. I guess is that what you would call it when they just bring in like big names of people who can't really sing, and so then they have to bring in a singer to sing the songs for the actor who can't sing. Right,
exactly. So Disney does that a bit.
They do it a lot
they didn't used to.
For cartoons, they do it since Robin Williams in Aladdin.
Right. That really
ever since they've been
things.
we can do like a celebrity to do this character's voice, and they just play it like Jack Black is just doing Jack Black's voice, and it's like, yeah, I love Jack Black's voice, but it's like also like you could get like someone that's needs money.
Well, yeah, you look at any big animation project these days. Pixar was pretty good for a while of just picking people that worked like actual voice actors or people who maybe animated on the production as the voice actors. But I think really definitely DreamWorks and who does Imagine Entertainment or whoever those other people are do the Adams Family things. Like everybody's a celebrity. You can't get
like
Zendaya is Michi,
yeah,
all that stuff.
Zendaya is Michi, and LeBron James is Gwangi. Danny DeVito is Dargo. Ooh, communists don't keep. And Zendaya is Michi. Gina Rodriguez is Coca. And Zendaya is Michi.
Damien Hallbrook, who moderated the panel, seemed to sometimes be talking about the original show more than the new show, which was kind of hard to keep track of sometimes. He did mention at one point, Damien mentions that the show was pretty educational, and that made me scratch my head, at least when it came to the reboot.
Well, he's seen a couple
some
episodes of this new.
Yes.
So
Oh yeah.
he's seen at least, I think, 2, because he's seen the 3rd episode. I'm guessing they showed him every other episode because that's what we saw.
I think they were still working on stuff on the series even earlier this month. I think they were still doing some sound mixes, so they still weren't done, but they probably showed like a few.
Yeah,
But they did mention that kids learn the capitals, and that was definitely from the original.
That was definitely from the original.
Unless they do it again for some reason.
Yeah, that'd be weird since they have not changed.
I mean, the countries have, but not.
We're doing the states
state
and
capital.
territories.
Is Puerto Rico a state? No.
No.
Okay, then I guess we didn't need to do
Coming soon
this.
is Puerto Rico. Okay, but. Let's go ahead. So, yeah, pretty educational, which actually, when he said that, I thought, A, are you just talking about the original series? Or B, are you actually talking about the second season? Which I would actually like that, because it seemed like they always were getting close to being educational, but then walked it back at the last minute.
Made a joke out of it almost.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that little element.
You always do that. I'll bring something up.
I will.
Talk about it later.
We will. I have it in my notes.
Now I want to. Oh, okay.
He has to go in order.
I have to go to my notes. If I don't, then it's all out of
Chaos.
It's chaos, I tell you.
Dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
We'll talk about that later.
All right, cool. Anyway, there were a couple cool moments where Jess was talking about closing his eyes and just listening, back on the original recording, just listening to Tress and Rob.
I'm sitting there in my chair, and there was a page where there was a lot of banter going on with Rob and Tress, and I just had my headphones on, and I shut my eyes, and even though I've heard them do these voices consistently over the years, and I'm looking in the control room, Mo is sitting there ready to go on and be the brain in a few minutes when we wrap this thing up, shut my eyes, and it was like coming home.
And Maurice LaMarche even gave some cool stuff about the influences of the brain, talking about Get Smart.
And Don Adams was a character called Maxwell Smart. I don't know if you maybe before your time. I loved that show, and one day I cornered him in the coffee room at the studio. I said, "God, I just loved Ed Platt." And Don said, "Ed was the secret of Get Smart. He was the secret weapon, because Ed played comedy like drama." He said he always played it as though the rest of the week he was in a drama about the Secret Service, and once a week he had to deal with this moron named Maxwell Smart. And that's what he said. If he'd have played comedy, we'd have been dead in a season. But because he played drama, and I always remembered that, I've always played the brain dramatically. You know, yes, Orson Welles is a jumping off point for Brain's voice. And talk about shading. You were talking about that with Wacko Jazz. Round about the third time we did it, Andrea said to me, "It's too low. It's just too much Orson Welles. We need something else in there." And I thought, well, let me fold in a little Vincent Price, a little bit of those peaks, those sort of meringue.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah.
So he originally was just like this, and then I sort of brought in moments like this, but I always played him straight and never played him as though he was doing a comedy. I played him as though he was really trying to take over the world, and maybe that's there's a secret of success, that might be it.
And of course, they talked about Tress MacNeille's Emmy nomination as well, which was very cool. Very unfortunate. I don't think she's won. I think they said she was
nominated twice, but hasn't won one.
She said 3 times. She corrected them and said, "I've been nominated 3," but it doesn't look like she's won, which is insane to me.
Because she's such an amazing voice actor,
right? So. And she's done it for so many years. It's like how she has not gotten a win yet is she should not be the Susan Lucci of the voice actors. She should not be.
That how many people will get that reference?
I don't know. But if you do, then good. But this is where we get to the stuff we were talking about, the educational stuff and how they talked about it. So they did give us some news. They mentioned in the 3rd episode that Yako had a song about William the Conqueror, and which made Tress MacNeille say, "Oh God," because apparently the joke in it is that Yako does sing I think they said a long song about William the Conqueror, and Dot does in fact react to it saying, "Oh God," and which Rob seemed to like, because he said it basically said that they've tweaked the show to be self-aware. That's what he said.
Wasn't it already self-aware?
Yeah, and that seems like it kind of makes it assuming that people don't want to hear Yako sing about things, and I'm like, I think people like hearing Yako sing about.
I want to learn more about
of the world and things like that.
Hastings. Isn't that the William the Conqueror Battle of Hastings, 1066?
I believe so.
I'll find out when I hear the song, I guess.
Hopefully. I'm excited for that. There were so many things that in the first season I was really anxious and so excited to the suffragettes and then of course the first ladies, and those were 2 big balls that were dropped, and they didn't do anything. They were like
almost educational, and then they really just
and I don't even care at that point. It's like I don't care if if the song is still fun to sing or hum or whatever. It's like I come with the expectation that you're going to give me something, and
it doesn't need to be super educational, just something. Like a Quake isn't super educational, but I still like.
No, but I get to hear about the Richter scale, and I get to hear about
exactly.
It's like one of my favorite songs of They Might Be Giants is Why Does the Sun Shine? Isn't that the name of the song?
Yeah,
and it's like that song's amazing. I don't even know if it's scientifically accurate. I think it is, but it's amazing.
I mean, it's not a mass of incandescent gas.
No.
It's a miasma of incandescent
plasma, which they did.
So
they did to do a redo.
Yeah.
Oh, did they?
Which apparently, and I was listening to a President's podcast, and apparently, James K. Polk has a bunch of things wrong with it as well that they were very upset about.
Oh, well. But I feel smarter after I hear the song anyway. Whether it's real or not, I feel like I learned something.
It is 93 million miles away. It's a million times as big. You know, those are all true.
Hydrogen and helium.
The intention is to be educational. At least the intention is there, right? And so you are going to learn a few small little facts. Maybe not every fact is.
It's even like when I'm watching Hamilton, I'm still like, I'm like kind of learning something, even though maybe not everything's.
Well, and the thing about Hamilton was it got me interested enough to actually go and read the book that Hamilton was based on. And that's the thing. That's what's really educational. Young Indiana Jones, I learned so much. I got out the I got out the encyclopedias to look stuff up because I wanted to learn more about the characters that Young Indy met. And, that you get excited and you want to read more about it. Nowadays, we have the internet, not, like old timer me, like, my encyclopedias. But, you get interested enough, you want to learn more about it.
There was that episode of Young Indiana Jones, one of the first ones where they go to Africa with Teddy Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. We had, at my parents' house, they had a bunch of old books, and one of them was an old book about Teddy Roosevelt's trip to Africa.
Oh,
so
wow.
immediately after watching that episode, I pulled out that book and went and I got to see the real pictures of the people in that episode. And I thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people are necessarily into that as much, I guess, this day, which is kind of sad.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
I mean, let us know, folks. Myself, I'm kind of interested in doing kind of some episodes in the Animanicast, for example, where if the episode of Tiny Toons or Animaniacs or whatever focuses heavily on, say, Sunset Boulevard or something like that, where we could watch Sunset Boulevard or Citizen Kane or something like that in kind of conjunction with the episode, because I think that's kind of the point of making those episodes, is to say, hey, kids, you may not get this, but maybe your parents will, and maybe they'll show you this old movie. Just maybe. And I don't know if people necessarily want to do that anymore. They just want to move on to the next thing. Which
you're breaking my heart. Going down a path I can't follow.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Well, at any rate, let us know if you do, though. I'm always very curious. Do people, if you watch an Animaniacs episode and it references a bunch of this old stuff, do you actually go out and watch those old shows at all? Even just to, not the whole
or at least Google it.
Yeah, or at least Google it. I know I do.
I mean, have you seen the Goodfellas yet, Joey?
I still have not.
I still have not either.
We might start with that.
It's on my list.
We might start with that. Watch Goodfellas and then talk about how what do we see any Goodfellas?
Animaniacs Movie Club.
The first episode of
Animaniacs
Goodfellas.
Movie Club. I like that. Animanicast Movie Club. I don't know.
We'll
work
Park.
it out.
All the Spielberg films.
Ooh. Now that's a spinoff. That's what Kelly just wants to do. She just wants to get her Spielberg podcast moving.
I've been trying for years to get somebody to do a Spielberg podcast with me because I'm too lazy to actually record it and edit and do all the things myself. I just want to talk about Spielberg.
We'll just turn this into that.
I have a name for it and everything, but nobody wants to do it. It's all right. It's all good.
Well, there you go.
Was it the Animanicast?
Apply to Kelly at bigshinyrobot.com.
If you were willing to edit, yeah.
Rob also says that there is an episode that he was excited about, which I'm going to use Rob's words, takes the piss out of a brilliant musical that Jess Harnell was a part of. Yeah, I guess he starred in as a youngster, I think is what he said. And they did not give away what that musical was, which kind of upset me. And I did do a little bit of Googling.
First, I thought it would be Hamilton, but then when he said that Jess was in it when he was younger, I knew it wasn't Hamilton.
I thought it was maybe Music Man.
See, I would think Music Man would be a good fit. But maybe, and then I think about Jess and I'm like, is it Hair? Because, I mean, that would make sense too. Or is it Tommy? With the Who, Tommy, Can You Hear Me? Like like I could see Jess in something like The Music Man. I could see that being very fun to parody on the show.
So let's see. Like he said, he was a big fan of Marx Brothers, the Beatles, and a particular musical that he doesn't want to name. So I don't know if there's something.
Apparently, he mentioned this at a recent con. So I'm guessing that he talked about it at Salt Lake City, perhaps. But we missed that panel. That was on the Thursday before we got there. They had that panel. So I'm like, we're missing out. Anyway, folks, if you know, because I'm sure Nathan's Googling as we're talking.
Nope.
He's not. Okay.
I'm just staring at you.
If you know, well, I'm looking at notes, so I'm not looking at you. If you happen to know what that musical might be, let us know. Let us know. The trailer should be coming out pretty soon, so we'll be talking about the trailer. And if somebody lets us know what that musical is, well, maybe we'll be able to find out in the trailer. We'll just have to see. At any rate, And of course, they did mention Nero is going to be featured as a controversial political figure.
People will love that.
Yeah, more Trump stuff, I'm sure. So yeah, get ready for more. Again, this is written back in 2018 when it was halfway through the Trump administration, when this is just still so much fun to make fun of this guy. And I think at least me personally, I'm just ready to move on.
I'm burned out.
Yeah, I'm burned out of Trump comedy stuff. Thank you very much. But that's just me. But I think a lot of people were excited about John Cena is going to be on that episode as a gladiator. And apparently
stunt casting.
Yes, there's your stunt casting. But I guess they do some references to the movie Gladiator, which, hey, that's another movie I've yet not to see.
It's amazing. And it has a really great Hans Zimmer soundtrack. And I love it. I've seen it tons of times. It's, I love a good epic battle movie. And Joaquin Phoenix is amazing in it.
I know the line, "Are you not entertained?" Because I think about that every time one of our episodes goes out. And, and the resounding answer is no. No.
Oh, you have to watch Gladiator.
Joaquin Phoenix gives us the thumbs down.
No. It's good. It's a beautifully done film.
Yeah, I do want to watch that right there. But at any rate, that's the general thing. Any other moments, things like that stood out for you in the panel? Kelly, Nathan, anything at all?
No, I still can't find out what Jess Harnell's favorite musical is.
Oh, well, so you are Googling it. Aha.
And now I Googled it.
Okay, well, at any rate, it was a lot of stuff that we've already heard. I mean, a lot of stuff that, like, hey, it was so great working with each other. A lot of, a lot of stuff I expected.
How did you come up with your voice of Wacko? And
right.
We got
a lot of, if you're an Animaniacs fan and you've heard a lot of interviews with them, then you probably heard a lot of the general thoughts about the reboot and their characters before. But it's always nice to hear them talk about that, process and everything like that. So I think let's go ahead and get to some of the thoughts of our listeners and share what they thought.
I thought you were going to say water tower rating. I'm like, what?
We'll give this panel a water tower rating in a little bit. I think why the heck not? Let's go ahead and get to the thoughts though of the listeners though. And Nathan, why don't you go and start us off here? What do some of the people say?
Well, this is one from Jeffrey, who is at Wacko King. He said he really enjoyed the panel, hearing the cast talk about the impact that the show has had on not only the fans, but them as well. As for the footage, I really loved the backgrounds. It felt like I was watching an 80s action cartoon. And I also loved the ref to Batman, the animated series.
Yes, which was, I guess, sort of a reference to the animated series.
I mean, it's Batman. And
it's Batman.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ace Librarian, who's at MJ Herlihy, who, by the way, is one of the hosts of the Pointcast. I'm going to go through all the episodes of Pinky the Brain on Animaniacs.
Good luck.
The spinoff. I know, there's so much. They just had a 2-hour episode.
Wow.
Talking about, Camptown Races. What's the one with
Farfignugan?
Yeah. They just had a 2-hour discussion right there with the director of that episode. So,
that's cool.
Oh wow.
Yeah, if you're interested in that, it's a very, very fun podcast to listen to. They're very nice people. But she says, I watched the panel and enjoyed hearing the voice actors discuss the show, credit some of the people involved, and express their fondness for Animaniacs. As for the 80's cat short, I enjoyed the background art and animation. And additionally, Wacko has the best cat design. Okay, so this is where we're going to start getting into these cat design things. Because some people didn't like these cat designs. But Kelly, are you on these Twitter things? What else we got here?
Yes, I am. I've got Mario Binder at Binder Clips. Mario Binder Clips at Binder Clips. I thought it was funny. It reminded me of the intro parodies they would do on the original. It also looks like it's a cold opening, which the first season only did twice. I hope this means we're getting more of those things that made the original a variety show.
All right. Nathan, what do we got here from Beetle Isaac?
Beetle Isaac at Latso 35890.
Isaac. It's an I. It's a Jack.
Isaac Newton.
Newt Heavy.
It's Isaac
Newt
Newton.
Heavy.
Good
Sorry.
answer.
Sorry, I can't help it.
He says, or she, I don't know. Beetle Isaac, I assume man. All right. I haven't seen the panel, but personally, I think 80's Cats was cool. Except for the fact that they sexualized Dot a lot. They should have done something similar to the anime scene and gave her a shirt, because what's the point of not including Hello Nurse if they're going to sexualize a 10-year-old?
That's a heavy topic.
Yeah,
It is.
I don't know.
And I think the main problem that I think a lot of people saw when they saw the Warner's style like that wasn't necessarily even how Warner Brothers styled them, but because they are well versed with how horrible certain parts of the internet can be, and how certain artists love sexualizing characters. Cartoon characters, even
So,
ones
like,
that are not meant to be sexualized at all, like say Mickey Mouse or something like that, or you're like gross, but they like doing that. And one artist, in fact, who does not safe for work artwork, was even at least temporarily retweeted by the official Animaniacs account. For a few moments, they put up a design of 80's cat Dot that they had made, and people I think complained and said, Animaniacs, I think you should look at the artist's work, look at their page to see what kind of other art that they're doing. Big hint. So I mean, yeah.
Well, I was surprised to see tweets about Dot like that. I mean, when I watched it, that it didn't even enter my mind. I just saw it as a parody, knew it was a parody. I didn't think it would be offensive to anyone at all. Just didn't think about it in that way. But it just shows that, so many things can affect different people in different ways. And,
Totally.
She's a kid and definitely needs to put that into consideration. But I don't know. I think they were just trying to be true to the original animation of like Chitara and stuff.
Right, exactly.
But I think Chitara wore a leotard, right? Didn't she?
I mean, I think all the cats were like leotards, basically.
So it was odd that they didn't give Dot.
Yeah, it did seem a little weird that but Dot doesn't wear one.
Yeah, normally. Yeah, neither Yako doesn't wear a shirt.
And that doesn't bother people. So I guess they figured it wouldn't be bothersome to people.
Yeah,
so I was really surprised.
It did. I don't know if
Sparked
trigger is the right
controversy.
word, but it did make people upset. Some people got upset. Although I did think, even though it was nowhere near as obvious, there are moments even in the original series, like when we're rewatching these cartoons with Tom on our Patreon, we'll notice in Roll Over Beethoven, when they're doing that parody of Fabulous Baker Boys, when Dot is on top of the piano singing to Beethoven, and she's in this red dress, and she has cleavage for a few shots. Mm-hmm. And so it does. I mean, they're cartoon characters. They can stretch and bend and do things that people usually can't. So I guess that's why. I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to the next person. I guess that's from Dot Warner. Dot Warner W is the Twitter handle. Ooh. And he or she said, I'm very excited about the new season, but this sneak peek was weird. And I don't think I quite liked it. I'm sure the rest of the segments will be a lot better. All right. And let's see. We just went from Dot, and then Kelly, what did we have from this Wacko W?
I don't think it's a real Wacko.
I don't think so either. I don't know if that was the real Dot Warner either. But
Wacko W sort of echoes some of the sentiments we've been saying. To me, that Thundercats thing is cringeworthy, to say the least. It made me feel uncomfortable. They can have Dot so distastefully sexualized like that, but they canceled Hello Nurse. Makes no sense.
Yes. And that Wacko W is Wacko 7 Warner. That's a very interesting combination of Wacko and 7. I don't know what the 7. There was a Wacko 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 Warners, but he got 7. All right. Well, over on Facebook, Mike Russo, who I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy who put together Hello Nice Warners, fantastic Tumblr that people should check out, going over all the references of Animaniacs, the original series. Nathan, what did he have to say about this?
Oh, okay. He's worrying about pandering. So he's saying, while the original show was a reference heavy, it never felt like it pandered to a certain audience. This new series panders with a capital P. Is this an attack on the Thundercats, similar to the original show's attack on the Power Rangers? Or are they just doing this for brownie points for kids from the 80s and anime fans?
I think it's brownie points.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think they're...
I don't think they're attacking Thundercats at all. It's just a fun parody.
Yeah. So I think that, like, when they did Power Rangers, they were kind of poking fun at it.
Yeah,
this one,
totally
they seem like they're just like,
how...
remember Thundercat? And just like, I do remember Thundercats. Like,
I do.
Yeah.
This one is, let's go to Julius Nathaniel Rapito. Can't wait for it. Surprise Dot was left topless with the muscles. Then again, the original Thundercats didn't have clothes in the first episode. And he puts a little picture of them in that first episode, which I vaguely remember. They had the first episode and they're given clothes, which is so funny because like
they're covered in fur and
they are covered in fur, but like Panthro and Chitara both have belts on.
Yep.
And they all have like that kind of like a line on their legs to make it look like they're wearing unitards still, perhaps.
It's like if you had Barbie dolls, there's the lines like on the legs.
Yeah. It kind of does. But it's kind of reminded me how like, you take a belt, like you put Chewbacca, you put that bandolier on him. As soon as you take that bandolier off Chewbacca, he looks like he's naked. Mm-hmm. It's like, Chewbacca, put some clothes on. Anyway, and there was I'll just go through the Instagram things real quick because there was just a couple. But Instagram, the funny guy 43 said,
he's funny. I like him.
Funny guy 43 said, I actually loved it to bits, and I love dragons. 2469 said, I don't have a lot of knowledge of Thundercats, but this looks okay in my opinion. I hope they have something cooking up this season. Well, okay. And Kelly, why don't you close it off? Because this is I love this email.
Okay.
What did this email say?
For some reason, I started thinking about Strong Bad. Like, email. I got email. Homestar Runner. Okay.
They didn't get Thundercats. They're not going to get Homestar Runner.
Well, anyway, it just made me think of it. Anyway, I thought it was phenomenal. I squealed with excitement. This is Brendan, by the way.
I love the sign off there, Brendan. This is Brendan, by the way. Thank you, Brendan. Lot of good thoughts right there. Thank you so much to our listeners sharing your thoughts on that. And I don't know, what would you guys think? Putting it all together, let's say the footage that we saw and the panel. Let's give this a water tower rating. How many water towers would you give this stuff, Nathan? Out of 5?
I'll give it 3 water towers because I got to see some new footage and it was well enough edited. But then again, there was already things that I already heard and stuff like that. So yeah, 3 water towers.
Okay, Kelly.
I'm gonna go with 4 because several Spielberg references, and then also I really enjoyed the footage because I am an 80s kid and I don't mind being pandered to in that regard. So, and I love Thundercats.
All right. And I'll give it a 2.5. As much as I thought the Thundercat stuff was kind of cool, it's not like it necessarily made me laugh or anything. And the panel stuff is like, okay, yeah, I got it. Most of the stuff I already kind of knew, and I wasn't necessarily. I went into it with the expectation that I wouldn't see anything I'd learn, get anyway. That's new, but
Well, if you go in with that expectation, no
Yeah,
wonder.
and look how you got to it. See,
I was hoping that
No.
anyway, 2.5.
I want screeners. Let's see these.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our contact information. Kelly, where can people find you online?
I am on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or email me at kelly@bigshinyrobot.com.
And Nathan, what about you?
Oh, Joey, I'm on Twitter as well. Django FT, that's me.
All right. As for the Animaniacast, we're on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and other things that I may or may not use at some point. And, of course, we're over at our Patreon, patreon.com/Animaniacast. Get on over there for bonus audio of us talk about stuff. But also, of course, the main thing is being able to listen to commentary tracks of Tom Ruger talking about every episode of Animaniacs, even with special guests. Yes, like Paul Rugg and John P. McCann, and more to come. And, of course, we're a proud member of the RetroZap Podcast Network. Head on over to retrozap.com today for fantastic articles. That's why I don't write. I can't say the word article. And fantastic podcasts that you can see every day there at retrozap.com. And if you'd like to join the conversation with us about Animaniacs or just anything pop culture, go on over to discord.animanicast.com. That'll give you the welcome link to our Discord page where you can talk about Animaniacs or Star Wars or anything else pop culture with the folks at RetroZap. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So, for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.